Julio, thank you so much for joining
No, no
me.
problem, man.
We know each other for a long time, but
Yeah, yeah.
I wanna quickly let you know what this is all about. I'm starting this little online conversation. It's called Straight Handball Talk,
Okay.
and it is a conversation between two people who, at times, either were teammates, partners, fans, or most likely competitors.
Right.
But ultimately, we were connected thanks to the Olympics sport of handball,
Right, right.
basically for life. And that
Yes.
to me, being an amateur and being someone who runs a handball club and deals with many people from around the world, is the priceless reward that we receive from this sport in this country, because we are not professionals, we're not making a living, but the passion we have, it's just connecting with as many people as possible. And to me, that is the greatest reward. So that's what this is all about. It is a conversation. I mean, you can freely ask question. Any
Right.
question is open. Any controversial topic is open. Anything we want to speak about, we should be able to speak about, because those are the people that I choose, because I choose people who do not have to be politically correct or do not need to
Right.
hide anything. Just be open what we feel about everything.
Perfect. Do you have a lot of noise in the background? It's raining really hard,
I,
or
I just hear drips, but that's
okay, perfect. So you can
it's
hear me well. Oh, perfect.
I can hear you perfectly well. So
That's good.
now that I explained what that is, I just want to share with people that don't know you. I mean, everyone in US probably know you, but those who don't know you, I'm going to give a quick background. And that Julio is born in Cuba, moved to USA. Now he's a US citizen. You're 45 years old. Are you 45?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just turned 45.
At 45, you have a really great international coaching career with over 100 international matches, being in charge of not only the USA men's program, but women's as well, and juniors as well. But also you coached the Puerto Rican women's national team and both Colombian men's and women's national team. And you also had a collaboration with the Costa Rican women's national team, and
Yes,
of
sir.
course, American Samoan junior national teams as well. Now,
Yes.
that's on the national team part of it, but you also coached LA Handball Club at the U.S. Nationals. Was it 2013 in Minneapolis, I think, or 2012?
No, I coached LA from 2012 to 2014.
2012 to
Yeah.
2014. So yeah, and you were also the coach of, or still are the coach of, Rogue Club, and
Yes.
so those are the whole things that you've done. You're also a part of the IHF coaching program. You work closely with the IHF to advance handball around the world. And God damn, man, you have a full of energy and undying love for the game. And more importantly to me, uh, you have complete dedication to the sport. And as I know
Right.
you, you have never said no to any commitment. You have left your work behind, the one that pays the bills. You have a great relationship with your wife that you can travel the world, but dedication is what we need from people to push the sport aside. But my first question to you is, doing all this stuff, when did you fall in love with a game for the first time?
You know what? It's my story with the handball is very interesting. So it was I can pinpoint exactly when it was, because it was in 1986, right after the World Championship, the soccer, the FIFA World Cup.
Mhm.
It was the first time that I saw a full soccer match. Imagine this. I'm already like what? I was like 8 years old. Oh my, wait, almost 11 years old,
Yeah.
9 years old, something like that. And I never seen a full soccer match, because in Cuba we have baseball and basketball and volleyball and handball,
Yeah.
but soccer wasn't the greatest sport, right? So we all wanted to be like Maradona. So it was the year that Argentina won the World Cup in
Yes.
Mexico. It was actually in Spanish. I remember all of us like wanted to be soccer players. So guess what? There's no soccer court in my hometown, but we found a handball court, and and we actually started playing soccer in the handball court, not knowing what this was for and anything.
Yeah.
And the coach, who was very smart, he came to us and said, you know, we snuck into the
Yeah.
inside the court, right? So you cannot play soccer here, uh, but if you want to play soccer, you have to come and try handball in the morning. So I'll let you play soccer after school, but you have to come and play handball in the morning. And we said, okay, well, just go. And we showed up to the practice and we started playing. Some of us picked up the sport, and some of us, faded away. Um, I faded. I was one of those who kept competing at the a decent level over there in Cuba, up until 1995, when I was, you know, um, when I came.
Yeah.
I competed at the junior level and university level, the college level. And then I came over here and it faded away for many years. And then I picked up again in 2008 with Santa Clarita at the time.
Yeah.
And then eventually I um I started coaching, and I always people ask me, well, how do you start coaching? And I'm like, well, I started coaching by accident because I broke my leg in a tournament in at the Falcon Cup in Colorado Springs,
Yeah.
um, playing against um West Point. I fractured my fibula,
Ooh.
and it happens to be the year that LA was a national champion for the first time. So it was in Vegas. I ended up going and I started coaching the second team,
Yeah.
and then from there I said, no, this is what I want to do, and I started my career as my development first. I
Yeah.
started developing because I mean, I cannot say that I became a coach overnight. I think I have, well, it's almost
12 years.
12 years of development. From the bottom
Yeah.
to the top, and part of it is because I wasn't the greatest handball player either. You know what I mean? Like, so I became a student of the game
Yeah.
rather than someone who was actually high performing athlete that immediately have the advantage of you know becoming a good coach. So I had to put the extra effort in becoming um, a good coach because I needed to project not only confidence as a coach, um, because I couldn't to a certain point prove it as an athlete because I was no longer an athlete around that time.
Yeah.
But I knew enough of handball to give me the platform to begin as an intermediate coach rather than a beginning coach. So that was the advantage, that my handball career helped me to be an intermediate coach rather than a beginner's coach. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But that's how handball started for me. Then I competed in Cuba. If I start uh, uh, name dropping, you're not gonna believe that some of these guys who became really good players in Europe
Yeah.
were either teammates or were people that we met in the club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so that's my story in a nutshell.
So, so that guy the smart guy who told you that, oh, you can play soccer, but you have to come to handball. Do you know who he is? Are you in
Oh
touch
yes,
with him?
yes. Unfortunately, he passed away.
Ah.
He passed away a few years ago. But his name was Raúl Osborne, and he was actually he played for the Cuban national team as
Mm.
well. Um, Amazing left back player. He was the coach of my hometown club.
Yeah. I think those people, I mean, I have sort of the same experience where you have someone just like, oh, come on, try it. You can continue playing all the other sports, no problem. Just join us one time. And then, I joined, and then the first day they give you warm-up suits. They take you for lunch, which no other sport ever did that for us. They bring you into this only if you're a handball player and you've been through all these parks, communities of handball, you know what it is. You immediately become a part of this little family, and they
Right.
welcome you. And of course, then, like any sport, some people like it, some people don't. For some people, it's too rough. For some people, it just feels a perfect elevation from basketball or other sports where they need a little bit more contact. So
Right.
I think people who are able to intrigue those who love other sports and are more familiar with other sports, those are the people that are heroes to me. And we all
Right.
have those. Whoever's stuck with a sport, I think, has one that really triggered their passion.
It's funny because it's funny you said that because I was actually my first sport, the sport that I practiced that was serious was judo. So I
Hmm.
was a decent judo fighter, player, athlete, right? And then my dad was actually a baseball coach and a volleyball coach. So I show up home and said, "Well, I'm gonna be a soccer player," and they were like, "What? What sport is that? Football? Yeah, you want to be a football player? Okay." And then when they thought that that they actually convinced me, to play, to stick to what I was good enough, they're like, well, actually, I think I want to play handball. And they're like, what? It's like, they were like, I went for like a full change of sport. And I was very consistent, actually. I think handball was, I still did a lot of judo and I played basketball as well and a little bit
Yeah,
of baseball. But my sport, the sport that I competed, that I was part of the province state team and
yeah.
competed at state level and a national level, was actually handball. And then when I went to college, I stick to handball too. I could have played, I could have done everything judo but I still you know stuck to playing handball. So
Well,
you know
I think, I mean, I'm sure you know that you made the right decision for many reasons. And one of
right.
them is that for the first time in what, over 30 years, a junior national team of USA qualified to the World Championships. And you basically are part of history making, who
Yes.
you and all those boys and everyone involved. You also went to my hometown in Pristina, Kosovo, where the championship was.
Yes.
So tell me, how was it leading those young boys into this battle? Because for them, it must be something, if you tell them that they're the first ones in so many decades to be there, and just, it must be exciting. It must be exciting for you too.
Yes, and I'm glad that you're bringing this to the table, because you know it's funny. I remember um, Christian and Robert both calling me, and they're like, "Hey, it's Pan American Games going on, and what's the plan?" And I didn't think it twice. I was like, I want to go to World Championship. I already been into a World Championship with Puerto Rico, so I
Yeah.
know I know I know that this is exactly where I want to be, right? Um, and then when we qualify, by the way, yeah, Kosovo and Pristina and the Kosovian, the Kosovo Handball Federation. All I can say is good things about these people. In fact, we're still friends. Social media friends. But once in a while, we all talk and how things are going. And I mean, I think you play a fundamental part in that as well, because Kosovo was for us the preparation tournament leading to World Championships. Okay, so having the right setting, the right mentality, the right group of people, uh, 2 or 3 months before the tournament was actually a test to what we were going to be doing. So everything starts in Kosovo. That's when we started building the team. As you can imagine, this was a team that was very eclectic. We have players from all over the world, the spectrum. Even some of them were from the U.S., which I feel that was actually our biggest achievement. That not only we relate on the athletes from that were coming from humble countries, but some of the athletes from our own programs here that were successful during World Championship. I mean, a clear example is Aaron Ham
Yeah.
from University of North Carolina, who became, kind of like the star of the tournament, uh, even though that the kid had played handball for like approximately 18 months. You know what I mean? And to be honest, no disrespect to the University of North Carolina, he became organized when he actually started, working with us in 2018.
Yeah.
So Kosovo was like the platform to the World Championship, and everything started there. Eclectic team with little to no time to work with them. So a lot of the the success was based on the performance formula. I was very clear in what I wanted with them. I was very clear and cut, um, creating a philosophy or creating an approach to what we were going to do. We created a game plan, and we just adapted that game plan, that playbook, to everything
Yeah.
that came ahead of us. The When I gave my first interview, I told newspapers in Spain that we went to compete at World Championship. We were not going to be a sparring for anybody. Okay, we're not going to go to just be blown off by every single team by 20 or 25, because I believe that was the expectation. You said it, no, first time in 30 years they're coming back. Little to no preparation. We only have like 7 days in Portugal and two preparation games. But we have actually started the process of building this philosophy in Kosovo. So everything that happened in Kosovo, then it was transplanted to Portugal, and then obviously moved to Spain. And we brought some new talent that we along the lines decided to bring. Um, but the foundation of the team was already established in
Yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
So the philosophy of that we really wanted to go to World Championship to compete was actually what that was the driving force. And if you look at all the games, except the games obviously against Slovenia, um, every other game that we lost, we competed. Even at the we so not only we it was the first time in 30 years, but we actually had the opening match against Spain. Some of these kids have never actually seen a full handball stadium.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are here opening game against Spain, and we were able to compete at a certain point against Spain. I mean, when you have the defending world champions calling a timeout because they're out of the sudden we're picking up.
Yeah.
You realize that wow, we're competing. Yes, the numbers didn't reflect that. The numbers sometimes they're cruel. um, but there were times against at Spain that we did really well. And then the game against Tunisia, I'm sorry, the game against Japan, um, even the game against Argentina. So we started our preparation against Argentina,
Yeah.
and we lost by 14. Okay, in Portugal, and and we got to a point where we are almost beating Argentina in the final placement match for us. So at the level that we were, we peaked right where we needed to actually peak, which was at the last game. If we would have been France or Croatia, we would have been actually in the final game,
Yeah.
peaking. So that means that the preparation was actually done well, where um, um, everything that we done was actually prepared for the team to play their best game on the last match, which was the game against Argentina. At the end, I think we lost by 3 or something like that. But we competed against a program that has been competing,
Yeah.
forever. That have almost like 3 months of preparation in Europe, and like I said, the performance of each one of the team members was actually, you know, it was consistent. So we were really happy. I'm very proud of those kids. It it is It is a shame that because Pan American Games kind of like occur on the same time, the emphasis was actually on the senior national teams competing in Pan American Games. But I think that these kids, and some of them were not even juniors. Some
Yeah,
of them they can compete again in the junior
yeah.
category. Some of them were youth. Um, cannot complain about their performance either because of what they did. But
Well, I
go,
think in general, to me, these kids having the opportunity to play in the World Championships is huge to begin with, and secondly, um, it just puts that bug in them to start preparing or at least thinking to fight for a position for that 2025 2027 senior national team. So in your opinion, from those guys that you had, the young crew, do you think any of them will have a chance to compete for that spot?
oh yeah, definitely, definitely the goalies are solid. There were some players in that group that you know um, definitely have the potential. The problem is, and that's the dichotomy of youth junior categories and then aging out.
Yeah.
We have a lot of really good players that are fantastic players in those categories, but then there is not enough for the senior national team because of the level of competition, because of the anthropometry, because of a lot of factors that are in place, the complicating factors. I call them the complicating factors. But I feel that some of them, definitely will go all the way through the Olympic Games.
Oh, good.
Uh, I cannot guarantee you that the entire team will be there,
Yeah.
but there are certain names that I don't want to, because it's also my opinion, and at the end of the day, it's a selection committee, and it's also Robert's decision if he remains in charge.
Yeah.
But I feel that some of them have the the talent to at least be considered.
What do you think? These guys who play handball, obviously, and they will be dedicated to handball, have a better chance, or let's say a superstar from a football team that didn't make it in football team, super talented, like a Westbrook, LeBron James quality, decides to join 2 3 years before the Olympics and says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get that spot." What happened to these kids who have been training for 15 years and competing world championship? Who do you think realistically has a better opportunity to dream and go for those spots?
Well, look, in a perfect world, what we need to do is actually recruit those LeBron James like athletes um, from the very beginning, and teach them how to love the sport and develop as a handball player. I I think it's a very unfair situation. I mean, I think there's a slim possibility that that might happen. You know, that you can find someone with that profile that can pick the game immediately. Uh, as such, um, late stage of his life,
Yeah,
maybe it's not gonna look, as with the finesse of a Swedish
yeah,
or a French handball player. It's gonna put the ball in the back of the net, and maybe you can have two or three with
yeah,
that profile, in the team. I can use a parallel of the junior national team. We have a couple of players like that they did the job.
yeah,
Yes, they didn't have the technical development of those who started when they started, um, and um, and they did the job. I mean, you have the clear example right now of Drew
yeah,
and Ademar Leon. Drew is he's still developing, even though that he's a guy who's um, started the sport not at the earliest stages. He started when he was in college, but good enough to actually be, you know, um, playing at that level. So if you send me if you four, if you send 4 Drews my way, I'm gonna make sure that I actually work on those Drews. You know what I mean?
well, lucky Drew has been trained by the military.
Right. But But would it be fair to believe that if we find four football players that didn't make the cut, that they're gonna become handball players tomorrow and they're gonna, be the solution? I don't think so. It's like the same thing asking Nikola Karabatic
Yeah.
to play basketball in the NBA. I think he will be He will be decent,
What?
but it's
Him in the
you
NBA?
know no, just want to say there will be a parallel of asking Nikola Karabatic or Mikkel Hansen
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
play basketball. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
In
Or
in
to or,
in a year, be ready to play him. No, yeah, I know what you mean. I know the comparison.
or asking Messi to be now the southern and left wing in the U.S. national team. You know what I mean?
That yeah,
Maybe I don't know. It's a very difficult situation. I believe, in my professional opinion, because we have an inverted pyramid of development. They have to be at this point in where we are in the U.S. We need to it's a balancing act. We cannot neglect those who are in the cusp, okay, but we cannot neglect the foundation either.
yeah,
So it has to be like a sandwiching process where we continue to develop people on the foundation so they can actually get to the top as well.
yeah.
But hoping that you're gonna just get fantastic athletes and turning them into handball players in 2 years, um, I don't think it's gonna be the solution. Um, but
Yeah, it's
there
gonna.
might be people.
Yeah, very, very challenging. It's good to think that way because it's exciting to imagine it, start conversation, but in realistic terms, to become a really good, effective team player in a handball court against really good teams, it's. I think it's impossible. You might get one to do certain things for those fakes or jump high and shoot high, but those are very little, tiny details in a game which I rather have someone who is trained with a culture of handball and what needs to be done throughout the 60 minutes.
It's funny that you said that because I just had a presentation about I did a presentation about the use of the pivot, of the position of the pivot in modern handball, in contemporary handball, because there was that misconception, or still there's like that philosophical thing where pivots and goalies are still like the specialized players in the club, and that you still have to have some individualized work with them. And the question that I threw out there was like, well, is a pivot a position or is a player? And and if you look at the modern pivots today, like the Haiti Logs, the Esteban Salinas, like the Serhanos, all these Guinagaldes, all these top players, Daniel Schneider from Netherlands, Ksenia Kamayeva from Russia, Tamires Lima from Brazil, all these sophisticated, pivots that we have right now, they are multidimensional. They
Yeah,
are not just the big guy, because that's what happens. You find a guy who meets 7 foot tall and have no coordination, no store, put him in the pivot,
yeah,
okay? And nowadays you cannot even do that anymore, because the pivot players, they have so many dimensions that even the idea of getting the tall players to put it in the pivot, it might not work anymore. You need to have someone who is able to actually have multi-dimensional resections, is able to fragment the defense, to be part of the positional play,
yeah,
to transform to a backcourt position if needed.
yeah,
It's no longer body. There's something important about the anthropometries and anthropometries in general. You cannot teach a short guy to grow, okay, but you can teach a big guy to play. The problem is, you cannot teach a 47-year-old guy that is 6 foot tall to play, a year before a world championship. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I mean, like now that you mentioned the pivots, I think pivot is crucial, critical, and it's not. It, every time I play with my pivots, they're never one dimensional. They can do everything and anything, and they obviously successful ones are some of the smartest players because they're the ones that create all the space you need for the other guys. And but anyway, so anyway, one quick question: do you like coaching national teams more or club teams?
Obviously, once you reach a level of understanding of the game, and you reach a level of expectations, obviously the most sophisticated the most sophisticated tactics and approaches to the game and all that, you're probably going to get it at a national team level. The competition level is higher. It's more interesting as a coach, but I love coaching clubs. Um, I coached LA for a while, but I did everything that I could for LA. You know, I led them to 3 finals and I lost them all. So, three elite. Was it 2 or 3? I think I led them to 2 finals in the elite division when LA was actually doing, um, because LA won the national championship and then went down a little bit, and then we picked up again, and um, and we competed at the elite. I remember that 2014 we were dominant. It was a year that we had the league here in the Western Conference. We went up to the final of the elite division. I think it was against you guys or Nyack, and we had at that point 18-0. We have not lost the game that season, and I think it was 2014 in York. And I think that's when I said, well, I done my job with this team. As a coach, you led them to finals, and if you don't win them, you need to step out. And you have the talent. Is obviously, perhaps my my time to let someone else take over. Um, and um, and then after that, it didn't make sense for me to coach men because I was working with women. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it was like kind of weird. I'm working with the women national team, but I'm coaching a women's team, and this is why we kind of like shift the gear to road, and now I'm with men. It's the other way around. So, but I do work, coaching clubs. I mean, in fact, I have had opportunities to actually coach overseas. Um, um, but I obviously, I have not capitalized on them. But I feel that at a certain point, I will want to coach a club that has a serious project, even here in the U.S. or anywhere. Right now, um, I don't think I have been approached, or I don't think that there's actually an opportunity for me to coach seriously a club here in the U.S. other than what we're doing with Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's obviously where none of the clubs are in that level of seriousness to do anything with coaches or full-time coaches. Obviously, that's a tough one. But I want to go back to I think the first time, maybe that's the first time that you and I met was in Minneapolis. Or we met before that, but Minneapolis was the first time we became competitors because you were
Right,
coaching the team. And you were in our group, and I believe so. You were in our group, and then we met in the finals as well.
right.
I remember that time, and of course we won because we had a better team. But you were trying. You were in a part of a documentary that we have, and you were there trying to pick up your guys and like just come on play. And you have a few Brazilian guys in your team. What do you remember from that finals? Because it was 25-20 for us ultimately at the end.
It was actually, this is a very interesting. It was my first final on the elite. Okay,
Oh, you had
so I
good
have
players.
worked.
You also had Armenian. I forgot. Yeah.
Well, that was actually so. Armor Americanian, which is for me one of the best. If it was not the best, one of the best players that we ever had play here in the U.S. Fantastic player, multidimensional. He was actually a wing player and
Yeah.
could play every single position in the court. Um, a fantastic defender. Overall, well, 2 times best Asian player of the world. Of
Yeah.
whatever of the year. Sorry. So I remember it was when Georgie started playing for you guys. So Georgie was in shape. He was sharp. He was actually he was actually you know, top condition. I think it was the first or the second year that Georgie started playing with you, right?
Uh,
And
that was his third, yeah, third year. He was,
something like that.
what year was Minneapolis? Was it 2012 or
No,
13?
2012.
It was 2012? Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
his second year then, yes.
So Georgie was right. It was kind of like the new kid on the block. Okay, he was fantastic. He was fast. I mean, he's still an amazing player, but you know, it was like right after he came from that highest level of playing,
Yeah.
and I remember that, you know, Arman playing the left back. I say, Arman, there's no way that we can actually compete with him, uh, but I want you to actually start, you know, uh, cutting him on the fast break because his skill is on the fast break. And Georgie, being as smart as he is, you know, they go on a fast break. He comes out to actually, you know, um, um, cutting, um, and Georgie actually gets the foul. He gets the 2 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
And I remember him coming out and telling, that's a trap. Okay, so you gotta get smart. He's trapping you into doing this. Okay, this situation. He's smart, and you know that these are the type of things you do when you play the wing. He's like, yeah, you're right. So you're a wing player. Maybe like, I think I would never forget this. Minute 13 on the first half, second play. I mean, exact same situation. Georgie does the same thing. I cannot even say that it was a bad call because it was a good referee who was actually refereeing the game. It was actually later on he became an IHF referee. Same situation. Arman fouled him, so he gets a red card.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was uphill battle. You know, I think we competed well. We tactically tried to overcome the fact that we didn't have Arman playing for us because we depended a lot on Arman. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a handicap, uh, and he got the red card and you guys beat us, and it was a first shake. Still was a good game, but the truth is that New York team was the best team that I ever competed here in the U.S. The 2012, 2011, New York team was fantastic. I mean, Vladdy was in top shape. You know, you were playing fantastic. Georgie, um, goalie, what's his name?
Ivan Martin.
Ivan was playing fantastic. You know, you had Sayed at the best time of his career. You know, it was a fantastic team, and it was fun to compete against you. And I remember, I think the following year, or right after the year that I quit playing with you know um, coaching LA, I told you in the nationals that every single team should emulate what you guys were doing. You know, and I disagree with you. Perhaps we don't have money to pay a coach, but there are teams out there like yours, for example, who are doing it's a serious team. It's a serious project. You know, it's a team that if tomorrow we have a professional league, the infrastructure and the philosophy and everything is there for you guys to succeed.
Well,
So
I'm not saying we should not have right coaches in clubs. And I know
right,
we have ours. San Francisco has theirs. Every club has something. And of course, we need the serious coaches with the right program to instill a long-term plan. 100% for it. But the reason why I say it's not doable is there are
no, I
no
understand.
resources. I mean, how can you ask for a coach to come in, move from somewhere, and you cannot afford to pay them? You cannot do this. So all of this stuff that we do, because obviously we have people with a tremendous knowledge and culture of handball, tremendous connections and networks that we have. And yes, we can build a system that some of us can push it for a long period of time, but only because we're here. I mean,
Right,
it's like I would love to have someone come and take certain things away from many of our teams, because we have 3 men's teams, 1 women's
right,
team, and if I could have one coach to deal with each one of them in a professional way, God, I mean, that would be the ultimate of any club. So quality, but it has to be quality.
Right. But even with that, even with all those handicaps, I still feel that, for example, you now that you mentioned Cal Heat, New York Cal Heat, you guys are still thriving, and striving to have, something that will mimic what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I still feel that it's a serious process. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and for me, it's when I joined, I always said to Richie, I said, look, if I'm going to get involved in anything, I take things seriously, and I'm going to do it
Right.
as seriously as quality as I can do it with the resources we have. And I have this is one of the copies that I
Right.
base the club on, and also Montpellier as well. I mean, those are the structures of a classic handball school that you can emulate, because it is a simple school, and it is
Right.
just, you need the commitment of people to do that. I mean, I can't innovate without resources. I can come up with some ideas, but I just do what I can possibly control.
Right.
But anyways, I love every club. I've always pushed for clubs to be more competitive, because for us, at some point, you play 20, 30 games, you lose maybe one, if you're lucky, by one. I mean, it's not always fun. We always
Right.
wanted that challenge from other teams. We always wanted for a club from LA to keep on growing what they did. We love what Cal Heat is doing. We love, of course, Nyack, that rebuilding the whole uh, uh, group of guys. So, but we need another 6 of those teams
Yeah.
to make it
Yeah.
really serious and to make it more fun. But anyways, that's a men's division. But I'm going to talk to you about. Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, and it goes back to the question that you asked. If do you like coaching clubs? And I would love to coach a club
Yeah.
that has that mentality. You know what I mean? But just a pickup club, you know, um, just to go and compete without training and all that. I wouldn't do it. And the only reason why I do it with Rogue like that is because even though that we're physically not training as a club, we are individually training, as a national team player. Because the idea of Rogue was always that it was candidates, past members, or current members. So we can actually come out with an opportunity to compete here in the U.S. for those who were not competing in outside the U.S. That were part of the team. But um, the mentality of Rogue was that it's a high performing team. It's like, even though that perhaps we don't have a gene and we get together, we're consistently talking video analysis, sending plays, revising everything, putting everything in the context of the national team. So it's all the work of the national team, transplanted
Yeah.
into a club. You know what I mean?
But glad you brought this up, because I was going to bring this one up. Obviously, Rogue is a U.S. national team disguised as a club. Most of the girls, at least the 2 competition we played against New York, that you won both in a tough way, they're national team players. They are the ones, especially at that time, they were traveling, playing serious games, and they were good. I mean, you're good. So I do the comparison with my girls. Obviously, they meet once a week if all of them show up. Total amateurs, but again, they have the culture, they have the understanding, and we have the certain system how to play the game. So we go in and we compete. We have great, fantastic games. Now, I am a big fan of making these competitions. But do you think it's actually okay to have a national team compete as a club in championships? I mean, it's, to me, I don't care, but I know a lot of people think that is unfair in many ways, because again, the quality of those girls that you had, physical preparation was, to my girls, like it was just night and day.
Right. Well, you know, I to be honest, I see both. I see both angles. I see both angles of the the controversy.
Yeah,
Uh, I think I think if I would have, you know, Bro, Carolina Bohr and Nicole Anderson and I don't know, Sophie and all those people who are playing in Europe, and I would have brought them over here and said, you know what, you guys are gonna be playing for my club right now. I think it would have been a disadvantage for everybody in general, and it will be a big lie for myself. Um, the idea of Rogue, Bini, and it's good that you bring this to the table. It was not to create a team that would actually be that would put everybody in disadvantage. Okay, the idea of Rogue actually was, putting a team together that would compete. Um, in the U.S. system, okay, because these were the players that some of them were in Auburn, okay, that didn't have any competition. Other, yes, the competition that you're talking about, competing outside the U.S. and all that, but we didn't have the level of competition that we had in that the other players had in when they were outside the U.S. So after the NORCA, we needed to prepare for Pan American game, and not Pan American game, Pan American Championship and all that. So it was like, well, how can we actually compete here? So we can actually have some competition during the downtime. So, well, we need to enter the club system, and it was not. I think it would have been unfair if they would have said, you know what, you guys go straight to the national competition. We actually went through the competition system. We competed in the Michael Lipoff, so
Yeah.
we could actually enter the nationals. And yes, were we playing at a different level at that moment? Yes, it was. It was kind of like the New York of 2013, where you guys playing at a different level, because bringing Georgie from playing the Champions League, all of you guys were at a different level. You know what I mean? It's like, it is unfair. I think it is unfair to for the athletes who are really uh, trying hard to be the best version of themselves, to say, oh, because you're too good, you cannot compete here. You know what I mean? So I can see that it might be not a good source of motivation for the clubs who are making, they're trying to compete,
Yeah.
um, and they're trying to make an effort to grow the sport in the U.S. But at the end of the day, it's another team. For me, what is even worse, what I have a problem with, and I'm gonna make it very. I have a problem with having a Canadian team actually coming and competing here and killing us. That for me is even worse.
We
You know what I
didn't
mean?
let them. We didn't let them. None of us let them.
But 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 you know what I mean? Is that for me that's even worse. Like, when I say Canadian, I can say Puerto Rican or
Yeah.
Greenland or Nicaragua.
Yeah.
I don't care. You know what I mean? But going back to your question, do I think it's fair that we put a club, a national um, team players disguised as a club? Um, if you look at the team that the first final, the one that went to overtime,
Yeah.
uh, there were only four that were actually active members of the national team. The rest were candidates or past members. Okay, so yes, but those four, Gen C, Sarah Gascon, Javi,
Yeah.
and Ashley Van Reen, and Zoe, yes, the level of player, the playing was far superior than, to the rest of the media. You know what I mean? The average player. But I don't know. It's um,
I know
I, I I get
it's
what you're
not,
saying.
it's to me, obviously, I have always supported anyone, especially because you guys have gone through the process of actually being a club and competing in competition where you earn the eligibility rights to compete. Perfectly fine. I think if any club wants to do that and brings players and they follow that system, you are eligible, right? And it's
Right.
perfectly fine. Now, from my club's perspective, where we always try to bring the best in our people and want to compete against the best at any given time, of course, we're going to look at it and say, okay, well, that's a tough team. Let's see what we can do. And we play. Obviously, at any given point, we think that we can compete with others. And if it happens to lose, no problem. We move on next
Right.
year and see if we can get someone else to help us get better. So I don't mind having Canadian teams coming in. I don't mind having anyone who will bring this level of intensity, because
Right.
the only way you're going to start saying, like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to get better and I want to beat these guys. And this is a motivation. So from that competitive spirit, I am 100% in. But I know 80 other percent of people don't like the idea of someone to take the opportunity because, hey, these guys are national team players. They're competing hard and I don't have a chance then. Well, then you shouldn't be playing in the elite, right?
Right.
Or so,
I mean,
it's a
you just I didn't want to say it
no, but
because
it's
like it's because I get I was also a club coach, and I get it, but it's also unfair. For example, then it also happened with the men because Nyack now have like what 40% of the guys from Auburn are now playing for him. You
yeah.
know, a lot of the players who play for Nyack also come from the national team. So, why is it okay for men to do that and not okay for women to do it? You know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
it's perfectly no. I don't think it's anything wrong with it, especially if you're
Right,
competing in the club system. Zero
right.
problem. Stick to the eligibility rules, and you are 100% right to play. And the thing is, I find it to be great for every single club to know, like, okay, wow, they're bringing again the national team, but they're competing as a club. So now we need to be prepared for that challenge. So anyone who wants to play at the high level should be able to compete against the top level.
It was not the national team. There were certain.
Well, I mean, it was
It's philosophically the members of the national team. You know
exactly,
what I mean?
exactly.
You
Members of
know,
the national team. But
because the national team it would be really unfair for anybody.
we
Even
should,
that was a year that we finished fifth in the Pan American Championship. It was a fantastic team. You know what I mean? I think the
we
best
should,
thing that we ever had.
we should talk a little bit and fight about this. You know, that line that the ref called was not a line, because that would have been a goal and there would be no overtime. You know that, right?
Yeah, I actually it was you scolded me on that, and I learned a lesson. I agree with you. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun.
Part of the game.
It was a fun. Uh, it was not even the goal. It was that what happened was because later on when I did the analysis, I look at the game.
Yeah.
It was that the referee actually called a goal is ball, and the table put it as a goal.
Yeah.
So it was never fixed.
No. No, no.
It was never fixed, and
It's
and but bottom line is this: you want me to be honest about this game?
I
What
just
it should
want
have never
honesty.
what it should have never happened was for a player with so much international experience to lose a ball, to start dribbling the ball halfway to the court, with 3 seconds on the clock, and allow the player from New York to tie that game. That's what it became a problem.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about national team.
I think everyone learned something from that game. And I think these are the moments for all the players involved. And obviously you and the team brought another level of intensity in the national championships. And obviously my girls, I'm always proud of them a lot more than our guys, because with our guys, there's nothing but winning for us. And everyone has that
Right.
sort of mindset. And our girls have done this for the last 5 years, always one step closer, always one step closer. And finally, last year, you guys were not there, but they were really prepared. I mean, they really took it seriously, thinking that you're going to be there. So they were training hard, and they got to nationals. And then, of course, they won the nationals. And I was so happy and proud of what they did, because it was a long process. It was
Right.
4 years of them dedicating their time and passion to achieve something that comes only through experience. And those
Right.
games were what they made them stronger and better. So to me, they learned the lesson to do what they did 2 years afterwards.
And to be honest with you, it is the same parallel to the girls and those girls who are in Rogue, that that also are making that sacrifice. The personal, the financial, and the life sacrifice, because they train for 7 days 7 days a week. You know what I mean? Some of them actually have jobs, school. They have to scramble the money to actually compete internationally, so they could be prepared. You know what I mean? So you know, um, uh, at the end of the day, I don't think I don't think there's right or wrong here. I think
Yeah.
everybody has a point, and I like to I tend to be on your point where, I want to be always a better version of myself, even as a coach. So I want the competition to be, stronger and
Um,
higher, because I want to be in that part, of the spectrum. I don't want to be the cutting corner coach who just show up with a good team and beats everybody. You know what I mean? I don't want that either. In fact, I'm gonna tell you one thing. This year we started with Rogue again, and we had a hard. It was a hard beginning of the season. We learned we learned something that we have not actually learned before, which was losing games.
yeah.
We went to Calhita, we lost some games. Actually, we didn't even get a medal.
Yeah.
We were in, I think, fourth or fifth,
But you
something
haven't
like
played
that.
in a while together, though.
It was right after Pan American Games. We came back together because we wanted to put the team out together
Yeah.
again and start competing the whole season. But then, and we also brought some new players, but we were in that curve where, like, we have reached the peak,
Yeah.
and then we de-escalated and we needed to build again. You know the performance, and you guys probably were, picking.
Yeah.
It would have been easy for you guys to probably won again nationals this year, because you have summit or reaching cuspid, and we were kind of like going back up again in the process. So, you know
Well,
um
let's hope we have another chance soon to get both of our teams compete,
yeah.
whatever level that is. But it would be fantastic. Now, before I ask you some trivial questions, uh, where do you think USA Team Handball should invest more of their resources? And I'm talking about financial resources in clubs or national teams. And just think
I
about, they don't have much resources. First of all, I know that, but what should be prioritized?
let's use let's call this country Narnia. Narnia is a developed handball country, and Narnia has a 400,000 pool of handball players, and they have four leagues, each one of them with 20 teams. Um, those 400 players of the national team, they come from the club level. Okay, so I think the residency experiment, um, um, of having players devoted to play handball, and trying to build a team from from uh, from that type of environment, laboratory, call it.
Yeah.
The number of those programs around the world are slim. I think Cuba is one of them, but still Cuba has a competition system that allow the coaches to get who the best players are, and then they take into residency players, you know, places. So Netherlands has it. So it's not a failed project. Um, I just came from Hungary, where I went to the National Academy as well. They have that type of environment as well. But at the end of the day, the material, the machinery, the instruments that those academies and those national teams use, they come from the club system,
Yeah.
or for those schools that develop the players, so they can be part of the national team.
Yeah.
I think there has to be a parallel process. Okay, uh, the problem is, and the way I see it is, the resources for the clubs cannot be for the already developed players. I think we need to give money to the clubs, so those who are developed can help bring some players into the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's where the finances should come. uh, if along the process some of those players that have come from other countries become become citizens or national team players, I think that should be incorporated. At the end of the day, we are all Americans. But I think, if you ask me, if I have $2 billion right now to give away, I will give money based on that.
Yeah.
What is each club doing in terms of helping us, compete international? Because at the end of the day, because we don't have at the end of the day, And I always use the analogy of being a musician, right? You know, we can play, practice, but you still want to have a gig. You still want to go and play the gig and make money, right? I mean, what's the whole point of having a band and practice, 4 days a week if on Saturday I'm not gonna go and make money? You know what I mean? And and that's the way I see it. We still need the players to make money for us because unfortunately, with results will come the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that whatever resources that we have, the clubs need to get a little piece of it.
Yeah.
Because the clubs are the one who keep the the sport alive. You know, the clubs are the people who go to clubs to see the bands. You know.
I think it's a very, like you said, it's very simple thinking, very simple thinking. And European clubs do it, federations support clubs, and yes, you can have levels of rewards based on the success of a club. And hey, and I was talking to earlier the other day with Danilo as well, and what we were talking about it is, look, I shouldn't be competing in the elite if I don't have a youth team to compete in the youth championship in the US. And if I do bring the youth team, here you go, $10,000 from the federation to keep paying for the coaches to teach those kids. Very simple. And there will be that grassroots program in every club that is serious. Those who are not serious, they want to joke around with 8 people coming playing, fine. There is a recreational aspect to it, and you can do it, and do it. But if we want to be serious, that comes with it. You want money from federation, you got to do this, and that is youth team. You don't do the youth team, you cannot compete in the elite.
Yeah,
So
it's as simple as that. It's like it's as simple as and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the first nationals, the elite is only 4 teams because half of it will quit because they don't want to do it.
exactly.
But those 4 who quit, they realize that they belong to the elite the division, and what's going to happen is, you know, that they will embrace it and they will do it. Because I think that has been always the fear. The fear has been, oh well, if it's a quid pro quo type of thing with the club, then the clubs are going to disappear because they're not going to put
I
the
don't
work.
think so. If you
I,
get the club $10,000 to hire a coach to find, recruit, and coach during the year a youth team, that's all we need. I'm putting in $10,000, but have a coach who will be paid through the year to go twice a week to a school or whatever program. All you need is, let's say, one men's and one women's team. So let's say $20,000. That's not a lot of money to pay a coach who would be dedicated to have those youth teams, can deal with both, and also can deal with the adult ones too. That's how you start paying coaches and improving the quality. But
and,
otherwise,
and if it's not even, and let's say that if you don't have the money for the coaches, at least give us a kickoff to rent the gym. I remember when I became a coach, it was like that, the futures program. You
yeah,
know, they gave us a kickoff. We went and rent the gym. My dad and I went and recruited. We started the LA team, and
yeah,
we competed and then with the same with the same fees that we were charging the players, we got a little bit to cover the stipend of the goalies coach, and you know what I mean. But at least there have to be some type of incentive. But going back to your question, I agree with you. We need to do something like that. You
it's
know,
very simple though. Very simple. Okay, quick trivial question because we're definitely went over our hour. But who are your 3 favorite handball coaches of all time?
wow, you kill me right there. Um
Tell me
Cesar
one.
Cesar Argiles,
Okay.
number one, Cesar Argiles. Okay, Spanish national team.
Yeah.
For me was a revolutionary. I think the way of he actually, you know, saw the game, the forcing the mistake rather to avoid the contact, or the very dissuasive, you know, open defenses, the flexibility of the 6-0, you know, defense that he created with Spain, the evolution of the defense specialist. I mean, for me, Cesar Argiles is one of, I would say top. Can I say 5 instead of
No,
3?
no, only 3. You can go that far. 3 is good enough.
Thor Hagerson. I mean, it's
Okay.
my hero. I mean, I basically I idolize that guy. I think I have a picture of Steve Harris from Iron Maiden and one from him in my in my room. Okay. Um, Thor Hagerson, and then I'm gonna go with one local coach, Camilo Esteves. He's a coach from Puerto Rico. I learned a lot from him. I'm not saying that
Is
I
he the
didn't learn
current
a lot.
coach now?
He's for the
Okay.
women's national
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
I don't think it will be unfair not to mention Christian too, because he have helped me a lot. But for me, Cesar Giles, and Thor Hagerson and Camilo have been the most influential. I would say the most influential coaches in my
Yeah.
career.
I think that's a better way to phrase it. Not your favorite, but the most influential to you. So,
Right.
do you prefer to coach men's or ladies teams more?
Um, it's another interesting question. I think women are it's a two different way of philosophical approach to do it. I think I enjoy them both. Um, I will say that because I have established my career with women. I at this point I will probably say that I did actually enjoy more coaching women, but men's are getting are also building a place in my heart.
A little bit. So, if you had make your favorite world all time first team ever.
Okay. Um, this is a really good one. Um, I'm gonna start with the goalies. Okay,
Yes. Only the first seven.
Starvik.
Yeah, Sturvik.
Only the first seven. Starvik will be my starting goalie, even though that I have Vladimir Diaz from Cuba, the one who died, who used to play in Spain. Um, but Starvik will be my number one, and Omeyer will be the second goalie. On the left wing, I have Rafael Gijosa from Spain. Rafa Gijosa. Okay. Right wing, Luka Balog. I mean, there's no questions. Center back will be Wislander. Um, right back, Laszlo Nagy. Left back, Julio Fis. And the pivot will be Rolando Rios.
Who did you say left back?
Laszlo Nagy.
No, left back. Left back.
Julio Fis.
Julio Fis. Who's Julio Fis?
He was the hammer. He played for Kiel.
Ah, okay, okay, yeah. Well, that was a long
Like
time ago.
2000, 2001, played for Ciudad Real, was champion with Ciudad Real as well.
Oh, no.
I could also say Juan Carlos Perez, the left back from Best Brand that played
Yeah,
for a Hungary national team as well. I mean, there's so many. I mean,
yeah.
oh my God, Matt Olson,
No,
Robert.
no, you made
Uh,
you made your seven. You cannot bring others. You're done.
can I? That's the
Don't
that's
mistake.
that's the men that's the men's team.
Yeah.
The women's team.
So, and who's the best player in the world for you right now?
Best player in the world for me right now. I will have to say Nikola Karabatic. I mean, guy is it's all the dimensions. When you think about a handball player with the plateau of the elite, the what I look is the word I use normally is a multi dimensions. Like he can assist, he can defend, he can retreat, he can counterattack, he can create a one-to-one
Yeah.
situation, he can be part of a offensive and defensive system. He's a leader. He walks the talks. I mean, he has the right anthropometrics, the right body build, the right
Yeah.
psychological preparation, the right physical preparation. The guy is a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, today,
Yeah.
if I need to go to war, I will say, give me Nikola Karabatic, and then from there, I'll start picking up other players.
Yeah, that's definitely the right choice. Absolutely. There's no one like him right now, except that the Sargosian is slowly,
Sigerson,
yeah, he is slowly becoming like that. And he is what, 12 years younger. So, I mean, he has all the potential, starting with the body physique, with the ability to think clearly, to be a danger in attack. He's learning how to play defense better. And plus, I mean, he's 21 or 22. It's like, I just can't believe it.
yeah.
No.
So I mean, I still believe that. Karabatic because he's a little bit taller. I mean, if we're gonna use the tie, like we're gonna be like anal about it. I think the anthropometrics of Karavatics are probably better.
Oh, yeah.
He's faster. You know, it's
Yeah.
like comparing Branyas with Talandu Chivayev. It's like, give me both. You
Yeah,
know
at
what I
the
mean?
same time. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
one more question. Will you, if you had to choose to coach one men's club in US, which one would it be?
New York,
Hmm. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
New York. I think I mentioned this to you like many times.
Yeah.
It'll be New York, not because we're talking about it. It'll have to be a serious team. I mean, at this point in my career, if it's not a serious team, I don't want to do it.
Well, it's like, our contracts just run 75,000 up. That's it. We don't pay less than $75,000 per coaches. So if that's good for you, it's good for
I think it will warrant moving to Connecticut too.
What, you're thinking about moving to Connecticut?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I'm pretty well established here in LA. Um, and don't get me wrong, I mean, also have my connection with LA, but like I said, I already done everything for LA. It'll have to be an entire, revamping of the program. But um, New York would probably be the only club that I will, and not only just because of what you guys do here, but also because of the projection. You guys like to go and compete internationally, and all these things that once you taste that, you really want to continue chasing that dragon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, our Super Globe experience and our partnership with Montpellier, I actually posted something about that practice we had when we practiced with Montpellier first team. And I completely forgot about that. And I saw the video today, and it's almost a year since we went, and we're playing against Richardson and we're playing against Valentin Port and all these guys that just watching the practice, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we did this. So it's like, it's just that experience of being in front of those guys that make it look so easy and so fluently. I miss that. And I want one day for us in the country to have that kind of quality of handball that people enjoy playing that way, not play one good game and then three crappy ones.
I went. I think it was in 2017 in December. We played PSG, the women's team at PSG, and right after the game, PSG came out actually in practice, and I was actually looking at the practice, and I'm like, everybody quiet. I want everybody quiet. Just listen to this. They were passing the ball, and you wouldn't hear that. It was just like, it was so fantastic. And I'm talking about like, the Karabatic, Mikkel Hansen, the whole 9 yard. And it was just like, wow,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
It's
But
it's really fun to watch them do what they do.
so we'll see where we go with this, bro. I mean, I wanna finish my career, my professional career in general with the handball. So I wouldn't be surprised if I make a move sooner than later. But right now, because of the age of my children, because of my wife, and this is not the time. But I think I have like a good 20 years ahead of me to continue doing this.
Plenty of time and all the passion and love for the game, which is
Yeah.
all you need. So, Julio,
Yeah.
thank you so much. It was a lot of fun to,
No, likewise, man.
and I really hope we can see each other very soon as this ends, or whatever competition that is. But I'm very, very happy that you joined, and I'm thankful.
No, thank you for the invitation, man. Anytime. Just let
You,
me know.
yeah, if you have
All right.
anything else to add, let me know, and we'll.
No. Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, stay safe, guys. We really want people with the heart in the right place to be around longer than ever. So stay safe. Be careful out there. My heart goes out to all of you guys. I know that it's being hard over there.
Thank you, Julio. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, my friend.
All right.
Take
See you
care.
soon.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye bye.